All right, team. More Texas action starting immediately. We're playing 5-5 to start. There will be 4 cards. There will be 4-card games in this video. Nobody panic. Starting out with half that number though. Starting out the 2-card game. There's special guests already. You guys will see them shortly here. We're in Texas, and when I say 5-5 and we're in Texas, meaningless. I'm buying it for $3,000. There will be straddles, there will be bomb pots, all the above. And tomorrow, we get to enjoy this new addition to the Texas Card House Austin location. They've built out a live streaming platform. That's tomorrow. Today, 5-5, 2-5, hot limit Omaha, no limit hold'em, who knows what. Expect action, straddles, bomb pots, all the above that you guys have known to come and love from Texas Card House in Austin. Let's get in there.
When you come from somewhere else to play poker in Texas and they tell you the blinds, just go ahead and double those numbers. A 5-5 game in Austin will play at least as big as a 5-10 game in Las Vegas. And that's without adding in the double board PLO bomb pots that happen once in orbit plus every dealer change. I mentioned a couple of special guests in today's games, and they aren't exactly going to make these games any easier. In seat 3, we have Doug Polk. He not only owns more tank tops than anyone in the world, he's also one of the best no-limit hold'em players anywhere. Next to him is Jake Abdallah, mixed game specialist and coach at Upswing Poker. And next to him, the PewDiePie of poker himself, Bradley Owen. What a lineup at our first table, and to be honest, it's pretty cool to have gathered this crew at a meetup game. Getting into the action here, and before I even really have my camera set up, the $10 straddle is on, and there's a raise from under the gun. It folds around to me, and I call with deuces, and we go heads up to a flop. Hopefully, this is a sign of things to come as we find a favorable flop right off the bat. I check to the raiser, who unfortunately doesn't c-bet here. Looks like it's going to be up to us to try and build this pot, so I bet $35 on the turn, and he makes the call. The river fills us up, and we have a straightforward value bet. I bet 1 black chip and 1 green chip, which, oddly enough, matches my opponent's outfit. Huh. He's still not interested though, and he lets it go.
My first time playing on top actually.
A few hands later, there's a limp in early position, and we raise pocket 9s to $20. That player calls, and we're already seeing a trend here. It's another favorable flop for us. My opponent checks. A lot of you have heard the term down bet before, and this is definitely not the time for it, as we unblock top pair and the draws. I bet $30 and my opponent calls. The turn makes things interesting as it adds straight and flush potential, but we can still call if we bet and get check raised. After my opponent checks, I bet 110. My opponent calls again, and we're off to a river, which is not good, putting the 4th spade on the board. He checks it to me, and I check back.
That was not the river card I was looking for.
Before getting shown the Jack 4 offsuit with a 4 of spades. On the Texas scale of bad beats, I'm going to give this one about a 6.5.
Oh, you travel here from St. Louis?
Yeah, I have family and all.
In this hand, the straddle is back on, and we see a raise to $35 and a call. And I am in no mood to fold a suited 1-gapper in position now. It's probably close to a neutral EV spot. In a timed rake environment, it's probably okay to flat the suited connector type hands, but when it goes multi-way, as it often does down here, you're at risk of some reverse implied odds with the 7 high. We go 5 ways to a flop here and don't flop much of anything, but it looks like nobody else does either as the action checks through. The turn is the ace of hearts, and when the action checks to me, I consider a bet, but chances are someone has an ace here and it's less likely to be me having flatted pre-flop. So I check, and the button puts out a bet of $65. The initial raiser calls, and we're getting a pretty reasonable price here. So I call as well. The river is the 9 of hearts, making our flush, and the first player checks. I'm not going to let this one check through, and while it would be ugly to get raised by either of these guys, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I bet 175. The button thinks for a little while before making the call, and the other player lets it go. I show it down, the button sighs, and then mucks it.
I'm not going to go over here with you. Yeah, a little bit.
Switching tables now and into the PLO, and I get followed to that table by Doug Polk. Nobody tell him that I've been getting coaching from his own upswing PLO coach, Dylan Weissman. In this hand, there's a raise and a call, and Doug calls on my direct right before we toss in the extra $25 with a double suited hand from the straddle. Honestly, even though this hand looks pretty, it's probably a fold multi-way. It might seem counterintuitive since you're getting a better price with more people in there, but when you're multi-way, these low card hands are more likely to be dominated. That said, nobody likes a nit. So 4 ways to a jack high board, and we make bottom set. Doug checks, I check, and the action checks all the way around. The turn is a queen, and this time Doug leads out for full pot. Having a set is nice, but bottom set and multi-way hand versus a pot-sized bet limits how much we're willing to put in there. Folding is too tight though, so I call and the button comes along. The river comes another 3, so caution is out the window. Doug looks like he's about to bet, but then decides on a check. We won't be doing that. Unblocking the stronger hands like overpairs, top 2, and other full houses, I think we should go big here. I decide on a bet of $400, which looking back should be closer to pot for those reasons, but at least it's not terribly small. The button folds pretty quickly and Doug goes into the tank.
How much is that? 3 what?
400.
400.
Eventually, he decides on a call.
Whoa, I'm good. The 1-3 would have been good.
In this hand, we call a raise on the button with the ace, 10, 8, 6 nut diamonds, and we go multi-way to the king high flop with 2 diamonds. First player leads for 50, and there's a call, and we're happy to call 2. The turn gives us the nut flush, and this time the first player checks it. The player in the middle puts out a bet of $85, and I call in position. In hindsight, pretty sure this is a mistake. I think there's merit to flatting in position since we often fold out all worse hands with a raise, and we can still make sure there's a bet on the river being in position. But with this hand being multi-way, I think we're giving too good of a price to the first player to continue and improve. As we see here, that player calls, and we're downgraded from the nuts when the board pairs on the river. Action checks to me, and not blocking any of the full houses, I decide to check it back, but it's no good versus the boat of the first player. I like my play on all the streets here a lot, except for the flat call on the turn.
Videos pop up every now and then.
I agree. It is, people do enjoy that, and every now and then.
We move tables and get right into a double board PLO bomb pot. Check out the previous video for a quick explainer on these if you don't know what the hell is happening. It's a lot to take in, for sure. In this one, we flop the nut straight on one board and flop top pair plus a gut shot on the other. That's going to be enough for me to play it fast. I lead out for 50. The cutoff calls, and then the button puts in a raise to 150. There's a cold call before action gets back to me. And while I don't love that there's a flush draw on one board that we don't have, it's just too good to not go with. These hands are designed for action, and you just have to embrace whatever swings may come. I re-raise to $670. The cutoff quickly goes all in for a little more, and the button eventually does the same.
Actually, 820 is all in.
This pot has bloated quickly, and we're off to the races 3 ways. The hands get revealed, and I know it's tough to decipher here with all these cards, but we're in really good shape. Our pair of 10s is the best hand on the bottom, and we're tied with another player for the other board with the same straight. The player in the middle has a worse straight plus 2 pair, and only bottom pair on the other board. Nobody has diamonds. Like I said, it's a lot, but you're just going to have to trust me here, guys.
Oh, he's ahead on that. Yeah, Andrew is ahead.
There's got to be a way for me to lose this, right?
If I hit 2 pair?
Do you have 2 pair?
I have 2 pair.
Yeah, you have 3 5s. You need a 3 or a 5 there. I got backdoor clubs, backdoor spades.
You're in for this, and you 2 are in for this.
We add a flush draw to our straight on the turns, and nobody improves on the other board. The rivers change everything, though.
Yes! Oh, yes! Yes! And I got 2 pair on the bottom.
If that 2 pair on the bottom board wasn't fun enough, then consider the straight that you made on that board. And that's on top of the full house that you made on the other board. My read is that he seems happy about that.
Damn. So side pot, I've got 5 full of threes.
Let's see that celebration.
He's making the vlog.
I would have fucking won that pot.
Yeah, so fucking, yeah, scooped it, man. He's gonna take, he's got 5 full and a straight. He's gonna take the side pot.
All right, I'm looking for a game with significantly less cards, and I happen to find a no-limit hold'em table and a trusty pair of deuces. I raise to 20 from under the gun and get 5 callers. Anytime a poker vlogger includes a pocket deuces hand, chances are something interesting is about to happen. But just to be sure, we're going to use a trick that I learned from my buddy Brad but with just one difference. This being the lowest pocket pair. On the count of 3, I need you guys to click the thumbs down button. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, who knew this cheesy bullshit actually works? You guys did it. We flop bottom set on ace 6 deuce with 2 spades. I lead into the field for a cool black chip since someone is bound to have an ace or a flush draw here. 2 players call and we go 3 ways to a turn card. It's a good one. The 7 of clubs changes nothing other than adding a second flush draw. Always betting again here. I fire out for $325. This time we see 1 fold and 1 call. The river is the 7 of spades, which completes the front door flush, but gives us a full house. I'm thinking about 1 bet size only, and that's the maximum.
All in.
My opponent goes into the tank, and we're hoping for a call to put us well on pace for a big winning session. Eventually, he makes the call.
Showdown. Deuce full.
Now I just need you guys to do one last thing. You can totally leave that thumbs down button clicked, but if you could just, click that subscribe button just to balance out the, the mojo on the channel, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys. All right, one more table to visit, and having gone on a bit of a heater, we're up a couple $1,000s at this point. And what's even better is we get dealt the best hand ever created, pocket aces. I make it $35 to go over a straddle before a player puts in a 3-bet to 110. There's few better feelings in poker than when you see that. 4 bets without anyone in the middle to squeeze, they aren't super common, but being out of position and about $1,500 deep, I'm gonna go for it. I drop $325 into the middle. My opponent starts thinking, which we're happy to see. We obviously want another raise, but we'll settle for a call and take it to the streets. But instead, he says the magic words, and we're gonna see at least 5 cards.
You want to run it twice? All right.
I ask if he wants to go twice, and he agrees, so let's make it 10 cards. On the first board, we flop safe, but my opponent does turn a flush draw, holding the only diamond. The river is not a favorable one, as he gets there on the first run out. Good thing we ran it twice.
A lot of kings left.
Oh.
A lot of kings left.
Disaster on the second board as well. He ends up making a set of kings, and we don't find the miracle on the river in what ends up being a super ugly suck out, as pocket aces loses on 2 boards to pocket kings, and we get scooped for a huge pot at the end of the night.
Wow. Sorry, Andrea.
It's all right, man. What are you going to do?
On the scale of Texas bad beats, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a perfect 10.
Wasn't quite meant to be as far as booking a huge win. We were on the cusp of booking a very sweet win. Massive hand there at the end, aces versus kings all in pre-flop. What can you do? It was just destiny. It was in the cards, literally. Pretty sick one. It's amazing. Like, I don't feel super tilted about that kind of a situation because obviously there's nothing I could do about it. Obviously super happy to get all the money in pre-flop. Anytime you have pocket aces, that's a big win theoretically. To lose 2 runouts all in pre-flop with pocket aces is pretty sick, but it makes for like a pretty amazing vlog moment. Just win or lose, when you have those crazy ass vlog moments like this one, it's kind of cool to capture it, even though less dollars, significantly less dollars in my pocket. But it's like, it gives me a chance to be like a little bit philosophical about all this stuff. Like, there was definitely some times before I started the YouTube channel, when those kinds of instances would just be like devastating to me, when everything that I was doing revolved around how I was running at the tables, how I was playing and how I was running. And even though I got all the money in good in that spot, in the old days, before the channel, I would have been just super melted, super disappointed about that. But being able to, like, you know, capture it for the videos, and I know there's people that sort of take a little bit of like solace knowing that that sick, disgusting run bad doesn't only just happen to them. So I don't know, being able to capture that stuff and share it, just the real swings of the poker grind is a little bit of a silver lining to that madness. We book a win, you guys. Not quite as big of a win as we're on the cusp of, but we get into the game for $3,000, cash out of the game for $3,683, $683 win. That sum, I feel, is gonna be paltry compared to tomorrow's live stream game. Probably gonna be another swingy one, as they always are here in Texas.